makeup. Today I'm going to be playing with Pixi's newest release. This is a collaboration with a couple of beauty influencers, but we got some palettes to try out, and these are all different. So we have the Pixi and Tina Young palette. This is an eyeshadow palette that comes with a bunch of gorgeous shades. We have the Pixi and Makeup by Denise Mind Your Own Glow face palette. So this is going to be blushes and highlighters. We have the Pixi and Promise palette. This is the Shapeshifter palette, and this is going to be contour, bronzing, and highlighting. And then lastly, we have the Pixi and Louise Rowe palette, and this is a cream blush and lipstick palette. So we have 4 palettes to test out. I'm gonna be using all of these today. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first I'm gonna go into the Pixi and Tina Young palette. So a bunch of nice neutral tones with a little bit of hints of color. This palette does retail for $24. You are getting 25 shadows, so that's a pretty good deal when you compare it. It's like $1 a shadow. So let's dive in. So first color I'm diving into is this pink right here. It's like this light pink color. And the eyeshadows actually are on the back of this palette, which I appreciate, at least that they include some. This is the shade Crease. And a little bit powdery when we go in. A little bit powdery, but that's okay. Just gonna work this on the crease. Add a nice hint of like a soft pink kind of color up here. Not bad. Pretty good amount of pigmentation. I did have to go in a couple of times. Like I said, the follow on this is pretty significant. You're gonna get shadow all over the place, but the way the shadow is applying and how it blends out, it's not horrible. It's pretty good. So I don't mind having to build up color a little bit as well. Just makes it so much easier. Next shade I'm going to go into is this one right here. This is the shade Daily Dose. I'm just going to work it on the outer part here. And on the crease. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this shadow right here. This is the shadow Gleam. Take this, and then I'm going to work this on this outer part of the eye. So pigmentation was pretty good on that one, nothing too crazy. Next, I'm going to take this color right here. This is Daily Dose. And then on the other side, I'm going to work that on the inner part of the eye. So it's just a little bit of a lighter pink. And this is going to go in the center and front part of the eye. So colors are similar, but they're not the exact same. We go just kind of blending the colors together like a two-tone kind of look. And then we're going to go back into that darker shade and then just darken up the outer part. Here, and then a little bit more of that pink color up here. It's a very soft kind of look for today. Okay, so this is the eye look we have going on today. It's just a little bit of depth in the crease area, and then we have 2 tones going on the eyes. Overall, this palette worked fine, but that's what I'm gonna say. It was fine. I feel like if you're a beginner, you will enjoy this palette because it's not so overly pigmented that when you apply on shadows, you can't work with them or blend with them properly. A good amount of pigmentation, and you can build them up to be a little bit more intense. But there's something about this formula in particular that is not my favorite. I feel like there are other palettes out there if you are really into makeup. I feel like this one's gonna fall just a little bit short. They did come out, I think it was like the Wiley palette a couple of years ago, and for some reason that eyeshadow formula and consistency was different than this one, and I much preferred that one over this one. So I do think for $24, if you are a beginner, a newbie, or you're looking for a drugstore eyeshadow palette, I think this is really good. This is better than matte quality, and this is better than NYX in my opinion. opinion. But if you have other eyeshadow palettes and you're wondering if you should add this to your collection, if it compares to other brands, I think it does fall a little bit short. We finish up my eyes, my foundation, and we can move on to the next product. Okay, so now we're gonna move into the next palette. This is the Pixi and Promise Tang palette. This is the Sculptor palette. And as you can see here, and it does come with 9 different products here, highlighters here. We have a shimmery bronzer, and then these are all bronzing colors. So far, I am liking the colors of this. It seems like it has a nice range. This retails for $22, but if we compare this compared to this palette, the pans in here are a lot bigger. So kind of makes sense. It's right on par with Pixi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bronze first. So I'm going to take this one right here because it looks a little bit warm on my bronzer brush. A lot of fallout with this one as well, as we can see, but that may not be a bad thing when it comes to like face powder products. Oh, okay. Pigmented. It's pulling definitely a little bit more red orange than I would typically like. But I guess it's not horrible once you blend it out a little bit. It's blending out really nicely actually. So you see a good kind of like depth coming on here. And it is blending very nicely. I'm liking this. This is really good. It is definitely adding a hint of color here. Like I said, this does lean a little bit more on the orangey red tone side, but for this particular look that I have going on, it's not the end of the world because my foundation didn't match my neck, so because of my tan, so this is a good way to add that. It's not patchy. It really goes on nicely and blends out nicely. Okay, so far so good. I'm gonna take a little bit of this ashy tone right here on my contour brush, and then I'm going to contour. And like I was saying, you can see here, that is a lot of fallout. So you constantly have to be like blowing off the excess powder. That's a little annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, giving a good amount of shadow here. Okay, I'm for it. I'm surprised how pigmented this color is because sometimes ashy tones like this don't really show up. They just kind of fade away. Really nice. Okay, and we'll just run it down to the nose. Okay, wow, I gotta say I am actually really impressed on this product. So this one, even though it had a lot of fallout that came out, the powders are pigmented, but they blend out well and they give a good amount of pigmentation without being overly pigmented. I am just really impressed with this one. This one is really, really good. It's not streaky, it's not patchy on there. Wow, I'm kind of blown away by how good this is. I am already liking this one a lot more than this palette, and I am liking this palette a lot more than the Essence bronzing one that I think I talked about in 2 or 3 videos ago where I was testing out new makeup. I tried out that palette since that one went viral on TikTok. I like this one so much more than that one. So if you're looking for a drugstore contour bronzing highlighter palette, I would check this one out. This one, it's looking really good so far. Okay, and since I set my face already with powder, I am not going to use the cream blush palette. I will use this for my lip color, but I won't use it for blush just because I don't want to disturb all the products going on. So we will jump into the Makeup by Denise palette. So this one also comes with 9 different pans that you can pick from. These are shimmer blushes and highlighters. This one retails for $18, which I think is a pretty good, reasonable amount. I'm not a huge fan of shimmer blush, so I have already applied just a little bit of a matte blush, but I will dip a little bit into this shade right here. This is called Golden Hour? No, this is called Glazed. So just a little bit of this pink to kind of go with the matte blush I picked. And I'll just apply that on. And this is why I don't like shimmer blushes, because right off the bat it is pretty shimmery, and this area is where I tend to get texture, so I don't want to just emphasize that even more. I do like that when you apply it on even just a little bit, you are already seeing some glow to the skin. I would say skip highlighter. You could just use a little bit of blush if you just want a little glow, and I think it'll be good to go. but you could definitely see it. You can see the golden fleck in here in this area. Not the biggest fan of that, but for purposes of the video. It is really pretty though, and it definitely does give a glow. So if you love shimmery blushes, you're gonna love these. These are very shimmery. These are a no for me. But now let's try the highlighter. Hopefully the highlighter performs the same. I think I'm gonna go with this shade right here. This is High Beam. Surprisingly, these don't have as much fallout as the other powders. Maybe because the shimmers are more compact, like together, but these don't have as much fallout. So then we'll just... Ooh, very nice. Wow. Yep, very nice. I think this is the right way you're supposed to do it, but surprisingly, the highlighters are not as shimmery as the blushes. The blushes are definitely shimmery, and you can see like the actual shimmer flakes and chunks, I should say. Highlighters are a little bit more subtle with the shimmer. You can still definitely see a glow in all the places I'm placing it, but it's not as like chunky, I guess, as the blushes. And then I am gonna take Sunstone, this shade right here, and I will work this as the inner corner for a little bit more of a pop. Very nice. So I am liking this palette. I feel, like I said, if you are not into shimmer blushes, you won't be able to use these four just because they're too dark to be highlighters. And these are definitely meant to be blushes. And to me personally, the shimmers in the blush just look chunky. Like you can see them on the face. I'm just not a fan of that, but if you like that, you may really like those. The highlighters are really good, but then you have to think about, for $18, just using these highlighters, these 5, is that worth it to you? I really do like the way the highlighters perform. I think they're very, very good, but the blushes I'm not a huge fan of. So I have already lined my lips like I normally would. I used the Kokie Berry Plum Velvet Smooth Lip Liner. These are amazing if you have not tried them. Super long lasting. So now I will dive into the palette. I think I'm going to use this shade right here, which I believe should be All Smiles. So that one right there, it looks a little bit mauve-y, a little bit dark, a little bit plummy. Amount of pigmentation coming out. Very smooth. It's not like I had to dig my brush in there. That looks pretty good. I don't know if it's the brush or if it's the actual palette. But like pigmented, but it's not so overly pigmented. Like this is the 3rd time I go over it. And now it's giving me that pigmentation I'm looking for. Very smooth. It's not tugging at all. It just glided on so nicely. And then once it's on, like I said, you can really see how pigmented it is. This is more of a matte formula. I don't know if the different shades are all different like textures or finishes, like creams or whatever, but this feels like a cream, but more of a matte consistency. So there we go. This palette is pretty good. Like I said, it gives a good amount of pigmentation. And it goes on. It's very smooth. It doesn't tug at the lips. I like the finish of this as well, and I like the way it looks, so I'm really impressed with it. I feel like this would be great if you are a makeup artist or you just love these tones and you don't like having all the lipsticks and stuff. This is a really great way to save space, money, and then you just have it all here and you can like mix and match shades. I've never used a lip palette, but this is really, really good, and I am loving the way this came out. All right, you guys, so that is it for today's video, and this is the final look. I really do like how this turned out. I think it turns out really pretty. A lot of glowiness happening because of the shimmer in the blush, and while I think all of the palettes are good, I really do think that they're all really good, but the standout one for me, or the one that I would highly recommend to everyone, is the Promise palette. This one just performed a lot better than I was thinking it was going to. The color scheme on this is perfect. It has tones for pretty much anyone who's looking to bronze and contour. You have highlighter shades as well. I didn't try the highlight shades, but if they perform as good as the bronzers, it's gonna be amazing. I was really impressed by how pigmented this was, but how soft it was on the skin as well. They weren't patchy, they weren't streaky, they were easy to use. And like I said, you just have everything you need all in one. I think this is better than the NYX contour palette and better than that Essence contour palette that was going around TikTok that was viral. So if I had to pick one out of these 4 to recommend to you guys, guys, it would definitely be this palette. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the other ones because they all performed really, really well. Alright, you guys, so that is it for today's video. Leave it down in the comments if you guys tried any of these palettes, which one was the most impressive one to you. If it was like me, the Promise palette, or you weren't expecting the blush and highlighter palette to be that pigmented, I want to know down in the comments. Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, all that stuff is also going to be left down below for you guys, as well as coupon codes to help you save some money. Thank you guys for watching today's video. Stay safe, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.